how to break any addiction now. And I want you to think about those things that you are, that sort of get you. What's your, do you have a little chocolate addiction? Do you tend to be a midnight snacker? Are you a little bit of a control person? Are you, very much addicted to how you look and how people see you or how people perceive your family? Are you addicted to a relationship? Are you sort of like, if this person ever left me, I die, I need them, you complete me, that kind of, is there love addiction? Some people have addictions to, and these are all the chakras. So some people have addictions to sort of over-speaking or under-speaking, or they kind of don't tell the whole truth all the time, and there's things that you'd like to do. And many people have addictions to overthinking, right? And how many of you are sort of like spinning in your head all the time going, oh my God, and you create ideas in your mind of how things are going, and that has no sort of connection to reality whatsoever. So there can be addictive thinking. There can be addictive, spirituality. I always do my meditation. I always, the guru says this, and I do that. And we do that. Or I don't believe in spirit. I don't believe in, if I don't see it, I can't. I don't believe it. So there's like addiction to pragmatism. All of those things. So just as to sort of get started with all of this, it's important to understand that that the body, which is made up of this, right? This is your body. I'm just going to just hold that up there. That is what you're made of, and your physical body is the vessel. It's the so for those of you, come on, this is what we're made of. This is what, and there's 7 chakras there, and then there's 5 spiritual purposes within you as well, and callings, and each one of those is literally a need machine. Like our energy field is a need machine. It's constantly needs. And so then the question is, what does it need? Well, the first chakra needs the materials and the cells and the particles and the atoms to create your solid life. It also needs family and security and safety. It needs that. That's what it needs. And every person, depending upon your profile, and one of the things that we're going to find is that if you know what your purpose is, you're going to have a lot more understanding of why you have addictions the way you have them. But basically, depending upon which of your profiles you have, whether you're a creative person or a deep feeler or a caretaking person or an achiever or a leader, you will have different needs at the first chakra. But each of those purposes have a need. And so it's really important to understand is that our primary pleasures come from fulfilling the needs of our chakras that are designed to be fulfilled in a very specific way. And they are literally need machines. They are looking for in the world, everything that they need to fulfill their need. And as they do that, they bring that into your system, that integrates into your purpose, and then you send it back out in the world, and you use alchemy to transform that energy, and that fulfills both your purpose, their purpose, the world's purpose, your purpose in the world. And that is the need of the chakras. Chakras are law of attraction, and they pull to you constantly. They literally have a gravity, and they are pulling you toward the things that are good for you and pushing you away from the things that are not. So a core need is like breathing. Okay. Now one of the problems. So for instance, if you had a core need of breathing, and then you were told that you breathe too loud as a kid, so let's use the voice. Maybe it's easier. So you're a loud kid. You're like, why I love life, and you're told over and over and over again that. And that's who you are naturally, right? And you're told over and over again that you're too loud. You're too loud. You're too loud. Nobody talks that loud. Maybe your parents are just as loud, but they can't hear it because they're so loud. But they're telling you off. And so you then decide to hold back on your loudness, on your exuberance in your speech. Okay, and so now, if you have a voice like that, you were born to experience life and then process it and then yell it to the world, right? So you're good to be on stage. You're supposed to, somehow you're supposed to communicate that out in the world. But when you shut that down, what happened is that now there's a part of you that's not getting fulfilled. Well, that part of you that doesn't get fulfilled creates the addiction. And so a person like that would have orally fixated, smoking. They would have candy, food, anything to sort of stop them from speaking will be part of that. So an addiction is actually, picture that all an addiction is, and addictions are incredibly simple when you really understand them. This is the way your energy field's supposed to look. And so now we were talking about that fifth chakra up here, right? And if we shut down that fifth chakra, just picture that right there in the energy field where you're supposed to fill that whole part of your energy field with your voice and what you're supposed to say in the world and who you're supposed to be and all of that in the world. And all of a sudden you shut that down, that creates like a big space. Okay, that creates like a void in your energy field, and then of course that often goes along with lower self-esteem. So third chakra comes in too, and maybe not the safety to be in the family, in the world, in the first chakra, and that shuts into. So now we have this beautiful energy field that has a purpose in the world to be you, and now we've made these vows, which I talk about in my book, Discover Your Purpose. And if you haven't bought it, go on Amazon, buy it, or go to discoveryourpurposebook.com and pick that book up, because that is, if you've got an addiction, chances are really good you have no idea who you are. Because what's happened is that when you shut down these things and pretend you're going to be somebody that you are not, those parts of you, those chakras, or energy, and especially the spiritual energy centers, they don't stop wanting to be you. They don't stop craving that. But you've made an agreement with the world that you will never ask for it the way you're supposed to get it. And so then what happens? So the primary pleasure of being you and being your purpose and knowing who you are, like for me, this creative idealist who loves to speak. So I've got a little bit of creative idealist, a little bit of charismatic leader. I love to lead through coming up with these ideas. And I love to speak that. If I were to try to be somebody that I'm not, be very matter of fact, and addictions are like this, and you do this, this, and this, and you fix the addiction, that'll fix you. Just use your will. Just use your will. Like I would have used my will to shut down this exuberance for life, right? I'd be addicted to being a pain in the ass, to being a rule keeper. Okay, so the defenses, those that know the profiles a little bit, the defenses of the profiles are actually our biggest addictions. Trying to be somebody that we aren't is our biggest addiction, and it leads to all the other addictions. So any primary pleasure, which would be figuring out everything you desire in the world, how much you want to be loved. Okay, you don't get enough love, you're going to start eating chocolate. You're going to start drinking wine. You're going to start doing things. You're going to start, alcohol is very much of a lack of love energy. You've got this huge desire for union and intimacy, second chakra like sexuality and connection, and you desire that sort of oneness with another person and the joy of that. And all of a sudden you're in a culture that you're Catholic, or it's all of a sudden there's guilt around sexuality. Now there's going to be massive sexual addiction. We don't have to go for what religion that is that's done that, but basically the religions that you make a religion of, I'll always be like this, and we worship this thing. But the truth is, if you've got that huge passion and desire for that, and you don't have it in a healthy way with healthy people and healthy relationship out, then it's it's going to become an addiction. If you have this desire, or you've got a natural ability to stand and be seen and be solid and grounded in the world, and And you found out because you had super achiever parents that just being you wasn't enough. You had to be a super you. Okay. You would be addicted to doing everything and being super successful and, triathlons and push. That's all third chakra. So you'd be addicted to those things, but you're only addicted to the things that you think they're called secondary pleasures because they don't ever deliver. Right? So those of you that are super achievers, you win. So you win you win the triathlon. It's like you're up on the podium, you're holding the thing up and you're going, yes, I finally have achieved everything. I'm the best. And literally the next morning you're going to get up and go back to work. Wasn't enough. Should have won the big one. That was the little one. That was and that addiction to perfection owns you, rather than the realization that you are probably here to demonstrate and to express what perfection actually is. So understand that the primary pleasure of life is very simple. Figure out what this is. So thinking about addictions from this perspective, that all an addiction is an empty place inside of you. Okay, that's all it is. If you want to heal your addictions, the Reese Thomas Institute of Energy Medicine. Now there's where you really start recognizing that things that you don't even recognize as addictions, they're just behaviors, right? And I brought a little sheet. One of the sheets. I mean, these are all addictions right here. Okay, and so we can be addicted to anything. We can be addicted to taking things personally. Being addicted to being right than happy. You know, people like that. They'd rather make you wrong and have you go, screw you, I never want to be in a relationship with you again, and lose this love in this relationship completely just so they can be right? So that's an addiction. Complaining is a regular method of expressing the self, right? Avoiding conflict is another addiction. Forgiving everyone. Oh, bless you. It's okay. I'm fine. I forgive you, but you never forgive them. Or lack of forgiveness. I'm never going to forgive. Never forget. Addiction of spiritually non-attached. Like I'm good. I'm above it. That's totally, you're so not. And these are addictions to helping others, addictions to independence, addictions to approval seeking, addictions to, of course, all of the alcohol, TV, internet, caffeine, smoking, sex, drugs, chocolate, overeating, but addictions to being all loving. Addiction to having the perfect life, right? And being super all together. So anyway, so these are all addictions. I mean, there's many, many, many more. And so understanding that it isn't just the drugs and the food and the diet and the relationship issues. I mean, there's so many addictions that we have to doing things because those addictions at least make us appear and feel like we're solid and we're real because we at least have this crazy thing I do all the time. That makes me real, but it's not. What makes you real is like right now, just take a deep breath and breathe it out. So that is fulfilling a basic need of the body, right? And so we know breathing. But what if you were told that breathing's bad, that you breathe wrong, or you do something, and you're trying to hold your breath your whole life, right? And you keep passing out, and you keep having this, it causes a real problem. Not fulfilling a basic need of your body creates a huge emptiness, right? And then you find out, oh, but it's okay, and nobody can see me breathe if I breathe out of this tube sideways. Somehow it's like throughout under the water. I can go and I can breathe and nobody can see me do it. And so this becomes my savior, right? This thing, it's like this, if I don't have this, people can't see me. When I'm breathing, nobody can see me breathe, right? So somehow this fulfills it. But the problem is that this doesn't let me take a full breath. So I can't have the full breath. And so what happens is if this is my only hope, then what will happen is I will eventually become, I'll make it as be like, it's like, this is it. This is my only hope. And I start panicking about it. And so addictions have not only the natural pull to have this pleasure, this thing, but there's also a huge fear charge with it. Every addiction has a massive fear in it. And sometimes people actually, because their lives, they live so out of their body, that's like the only pleasure they get. That's the only that charge of adrenaline that happens before their addiction, is all they get. But the reality is that when something, you have to try to get it to give you this pleasure, and it gives you just this much. So like chocolate, right? Or food, you eat a little bit, or drugs or drinking, right? You drink one, it's like, oh, wow, that actually like made me relax my second chakra, and feel more. And I'm like, I'm happier, and I'm dancing more, and it's so great. But then what happens is that you come down off that, you got a headache, and you feel even worse after the drug. So next time your brain says, whoa, it almost worked. Let's double down. And then you double down. Pretty soon you're drinking all the time, hoping that it's going to do it. But drinking is the opposite of actually feeling anything. And so that was the problem. And so, but the brain, since it just doesn't allow you to feel the natural second chakra joy of living or the depth of relationship, you can't feel those primary pleasures. The only thing left are secondary pleasures. Secondary pleasures are addictions. So very simple. That's all. That's what addiction is. Very, very simple. And if you know who you are, you can get that by reading my book. And it's very simple. I mean, I'm not making this real complicated. It's not the Enneagram where you got to know I'm a 9, 3, 14. You don't have to know that. It's not Myers-Briggs where you have to memorize all these things and these, and it's not DISC. It's not, it's not all business oriented. It's basically soul based. What I teach you in that book is soul based. And that's really the key. All right. So here I'm going to play this bowl, and now I want you to, so I'm going to play it. I know it shuts off with this microphone, but I'll play it a few times. Just close your eyes and feel that. Okay, so how did that feel? So I'll do a couple readings here, which I always like to do, and this one, of course, is about your addiction. So I'm holding the whole premise of this, whole energy of this, everything we're in, this environment that we're in right now. You just got that experience of the bowl, and we're focusing on how to break your addiction. So that bowl, that energy, so this is how it works. That bowl gave you a primary pleasure. Right? You just received a primary pleasure of experiencing that vibration. And now that experience, you now can turn into, because that's a primary pleasure, and it's teaching you what you needed, what else you need as primary pleasures to break any addiction. So your aura is a massive need machine. That's all it does. And what it needs, the only thing it needs is all of the things, which are quite a few things. That's why you have 7 chakras and 5 spiritual centers, all that are the law of attraction, all magnets to you. And each one is calling very specific things that you need to live your purpose. And there's one purpose you have. One. They all serve that one purpose. And so they have their jobs, and they have to get those needs met. And when you vow and you worship being somebody that you are not, you will feel always like there's something missing, because there's a huge thing missing. If I'm living on half of my chakras, this energy field is tiny, right? It wants to be out here. And so you have this need to fill those, but you've already said, I won't do it the way I'm supposed to because I was too loud, I was too pretty, I was too ugly, I was too something or not enough of something, and I'm going to have to be this, or this is what a good person is. Good person always takes care of everybody else and doesn't ever do anything for themselves. All of those things that are complete lies, you bought them, and you made them who you are, when whatever part of you that you negated is still going, help! I still need to be this. And so rather than being that, your body still has this craving. The only problem is now you've got no thinking, no process. Your chakras are shut down too far to feel what you really want. So then you try to ram something into your chakras. I'll do this. I'll make it that way. And it never works. And addiction is just a matter of trying to fill your life purpose with secondary pleasures. How to break any addiction? You've got to recognize the difference between a primary pleasure and a secondary pleasure. And the only way to do that is to figure out who you really are.